Apostasy in Islam, what the Qur'an actually says, and what Western narratives never tell you. Let's begin with the fact that shatters the entire Islam kills apostates narrative instantly. The Qur'an does not prescribe a single worldly punishment for apostasy. Not one. Ever. The Qur'an mentions apostasy repeatedly, sometimes fiercely, but every single consequence is placed in the hereafter, never in a courtroom. Here are the verses themselves. Surah An-Nisa, verse 137. Indeed, those who believed then disbelieved, then believed and again disbelieved, only increasing in disbelief, Allah will neither forgive them nor guide them to the right way. This verse alone destroys the entire execute apostates myth. A person is described entering and leaving Islam multiple times. If apostasy carried automatic execution, this verse would be impossible. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 217. And whoever among you renounces their own faith and dies a disbeliever, their deeds will become void in this life and in the hereafter. Apostasy is mentioned. The punishment? Only with Allah. No judge. No police. Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 54. O believers, whoever among you abandons their faith, Allah will replace them with others who love Him and are loved by Him. The only response is replacement, not punishment. Surah An-Nahl, verse 106. Whoever disbelieves in Allah after their belief, not those who are forced while their hearts are firm in faith, but those who embrace disbelief wholeheartedly, they will be condemned by Allah and suffer a tremendous punishment. Allah pardons even someone who publicly renounces Islam under coercion. If public denial itself triggered execution, this verse could not exist. Surah Ali Imran, verse 86 to 91. Condemnation, yes. Earthly punishment, none. Apostasy is spiritually serious, but never punished by the state. No verse orders execution. No verse orders imprisonment. No verse authorizes coercion. The Qur'an punishes disbelief only in the next life. So what about public apostasy in an Islamic state? This is where Western analysis collapses. Islamic law distinguishes between private apostasy, which is internal disbelief, silent withdrawal, doubts, personal struggle, leaving quietly, no punishment, not the state's domain. This matches every Quranic verse above. And public apostasy? This is an entirely different category, not because of belief, but because it strikes at the stability of a living religious civilization. In an Islamic polity, Islam is not a private preference. It is the constitutional backbone, the legal architecture, the moral compass, the cultural identity, the unifying force that holds the entire community together. So when someone steps into the public square and declares, "I renounce Islam. Islam is false. Leave Islam with me. Reject the religion of the state." This is not choosing another religion. This is political agitation. This is ideological rebellion. This is a direct strike at the civic foundation of the Muslim polity. Historically, such public acts aligned with treason, sedition, subversive propaganda, community fragmentation, and assistance to hostile powers. And that is exactly how the classical jurists understood it. But this legal category applies only where an Islamic state exists and its laws are in force.
Silence in the court!
In a non-Islamic state where Islamic law has no jurisdiction, this punishment does not apply because the state itself does not define apostasy as a political or legal crime. That is why cases like Salman Rushdie living under the laws of the US and UK fall entirely outside the domain of Islamic legal enforcement.
Stop now!
Any vigilante violence in such contexts is unlawful, unjust, and has no legitimacy in Islamic jurisprudence.
Damn it, I said stop!
And anyone, Muslim or non-Muslim, who frames apostasy law as a license to kill in non-Islamic countries is not explaining Islam. They are inciting violence and fueling the very chaos Islamic law was designed to prevent.
Stop. Stop now!
Even within an Islamic state, even if public apostasy falls under state law, no private Muslim has any right, none, to carry out the punishment. Not a hint, not a shadow, not a whisper of permission. Islamic law slams the door shut on vigilantes. A private Muslim killing an apostate is not enforcing Islam. It is violating Islam. It is not courage. It is criminality. It is not justice. It is murder.
Order in the court!
Classical jurists repeated it like a warning bell. No had is enforced except by the ruler, meaning the courts decide, the judge rules, the state executes, the individual does nothing.
Stop it!
Anyone who lifts a hand outside that framework is not a hero of faith. They're a transgressor, a lawbreaker, a destabilizer. The precise chaos Islamic law was instituted to eliminate.
You better stop!
The definitive historical example, the Zakāt rebellion under Abū Bakr, radiallahu anhu. The moment that explains classical apostasy law perfectly. When the Prophet passed away, many tribes still identified as Muslim. They did not deny the Shahada. They did not stop praying. They refused one thing, Zakāt, to the central government. Their message to Abū Bakr, radiallahu anhu, was essentially, we are Muslim, but we will not give the state the Zakāt we used to give during the Prophet's time. This was not about belief. It was political secession, the equivalent of provinces refusing federal taxes. The Qur'an, Surah At-Tawbah, verse 103, explicitly commands the state to collect Zakāt. Take from their wealth, O Prophet, charity to purify and bless them. If each tribe withheld it, the entire economic and political structure of the Muslim community would collapse. This is why Abū Bakr radiallahu anhu declared, by Allah, I will fight anyone who withholds even the smallest item they use to give to the Messenger of Allah, not because of their beliefs, but because of their rebellion. Those tribes fell into three categories. Those who denied Zakāt entirely, which is theological deviance. Those who affirmed Zakāt but refused the state's authority, that is political rebellion, not disbelief. And followers of false prophets like Musaylima, meaning armed insurgency. Every group Abū Bakr fought was tied to rebellion, governance and political order, not personal belief. This is exactly why those wars were historically called wars of apostasy, or Ridda, not in the sense of personal change of faith, but in the sense of breaking political allegiance, because many rebels still considered themselves Muslim. The Muslim state did not punish people merely for changing religion, but when apostasy coincided with secession, rebellion, or political fragmentation, as in the Ridda wars, it was treated as treason, not personal disbelief.
Silence in the court!
This political treason model is the historical foundation of classical apostasy rulings, which were later expanded by jurists with additional theological and communal harm arguments. But what about the hadith? Kill whoever changes his religion. This hadith appears in the context of murder, treason, alliances with enemies, political desertion, armed rebellion. Never in the context of a private individual having doubts or leaving quietly. This is why the Prophet never executed a single person for private apostasy. Many people left Islam during his life. None were killed. Some apostates insulted him directly, still not executed. Only rebels, traitors, assassins, or wartime deserters were punished. Islamic law does not prescribe execution for purely private apostasy, only when apostasy is tied to public treason, rebellion, or armed sedition. The Qur'an does not command execution for apostasy. The Prophet never executed anyone solely for private apostasy. The early caliphs never enforced execution for private, non-rebellious apostasy, not out of fear of disbelief, but because every civilization must defend itself against internal sabotage. Execution was applied only when apostasy became a tool of political secession or rebellion, as in the Ridda wars. And in Islam, the clearest proof of that principle is found in the life of Abū Bakr, radiyallahu anhu, and the Zakāt rebellion that had nothing to do with belief and everything to do with protecting the integrity of the Muslim community.